Running, Sonic speed running.
Hey, everybody. Let me know if you can hear me because I am actually at CodeMash, which is in Sandusky, Ohio, the U.S. For those of you who are not familiar, that's in Ohio is one of the states little bit south of the one of the five Great Lakes, right? Lake Erie. So where I am, in fact, is just right at the border of the lake and very close to it. So anyway, I decided to do this, this episode here from CodeMash. But the problem with me is that because it's not formally at my studio at home, so it's a bit kind of challenging right now. I don't have my green screen with me, and also, I'm not sure how good this is working out either. So you can let me know too, and let me maybe see if anybody's it's is anybody even here. So I'll just say hello and welcome from Comesh, right in Ohio. So thank you so much for coming. And I was hoping to do some like a quick kind of like intro to my one of the sessions that I'll be doing here at CoMesh is actually based on a workshop that's developed by my team here at my company. But then the problem with them, and you know what, let me check my voice first. I don't even know if this is picking up okay. So if you don't mind, just a minute, because there's also background. You may be able to hear also like the background music here. I'm just so you know, CoMash is a big, quite a big one, or even pre-pandemic. Is still is I think one of the biggest developer focus conference here in the United States, and it's right, in the Midwest, right, the middle part of the country, and I have to kind of mention too, Ohio is probably one of the most active states in the U.S. with very enthusiastic developers, software people. And it's kind of surprising because everybody, when we talk about software in the US, everybody thinks of California. So, which is very true, right? A lots of investment and everything. But I'd say here in Ohio, it's just got, these very enthusiastic folks. And I'm kind of very lucky to be able to meet some of them. And of course, here, excuse me, at CodeMash is run by this gentleman and his team, Brian Prince, and he's amazing. Every time he comes here, he would be, having his haircut in very sharp orange color, so nobody can miss him. And he's a great guy, very enthusiastic, very charismatic. And from what I learned, finally, being here now, is that he encouraged he still does, I think, encourages all of the people that work for him to uh, to attend conferences. So this is one of the ones that he actively participates in, and its normal time would be like at least like 2,000 people at this conference. And the nice thing, I think, to me is kind of really great that he's doing is to have this component of the conference called Kids Smash. Kids Smash, as such, right, is for children. So in other words, you can bring your children with you, and then the water park, all of these things, it's included. And by the way, yes, the venue is at this pretty exciting water park, amusement park, right? Indoor, everything, of course, because everything is very cold around here. Although I should say here, this time it isn't the coldest. I think it's about 40s right now. Let me check. Yeah, I think it's 40 degrees. So roughly, I guess like 3-4 degrees Celsius, right? So it's like 40 Fahrenheit. So anyway, so the conference takes place inside in a water park called Kalahari, and Kalahari is pretty popular. It's kind of a franchise, right? I believe it's a franchise, or maybe just a big, water park amusement company. And there are a few of these Kalahari indoor water parks here in the Midwest, and the biggest too is in Wisconsin, which is like right in the middle of the country where you see the license plate that says Dairy State, right? So okay, so there is Kalahari here, and then also in Wisconsin too. So if you're into water parks, it's a fun place to be at. And if you have children, I'm sure all the kids love it. So it's nice to see all the children, and then their volunteer teachers. Some of the speakers also volunteer, or maybe they bring their children, so they're also helping out with some of the sessions for the children. I think it's so important, right? We should really be helping out the young people to learn, and we want to be able to pass on the knowledge too. So that's the whole point. And so, as you can see, where I am now is I'm at the main banquet hall. So this holds, I think it's probably, like 2,000 people, maybe something like that. But I'm not sure how many people will be here because its conference started on Monday, but Monday was more check-in. So I got here Monday night. And then after that too, like Tuesday, yesterday was like a whole day of workshops, half day workshops. A lot of them or maybe about 20 of them, and then the children, the kids smash part. And so is today. So right now it's like 4:30 in the afternoon and in Eastern time. So um, anyway, so it is a fun place to be at. As you can see, this main stage is put together nicely. And let me kind of show you. I know I have all these wires, so I'm not going to be able to kind of do it too fancy. But as you can see, right, this is like the main banquet hall. Uh, so right now is quiet time. Folks are still at the workshop. So you know what I'll do? Let me also check to make sure the voice is okay. And because nobody is saying anything, I'm not sure if anybody is here today. But let me check a few things. So um, let me see. Let me see. Okay, so all these things, and I'm sorry guys if I'm not like enabling any of these. You know. I guess rating channel, or well, actually I'm not rating somebody, but for example, like some of these things that I can set up, maybe you can like tell me what to do because I'm a developer and I hardly have time to kind of figure out how to do these other fancy things. So let me kind of take a look and make sure the voice come out okay too. Um, can you actually hear me? Oh, okay. Okay, so okay, that's good. I was just checking and make sure. It looks like it is picking up okay, and it's not too bad. So because I have a very good microphone, so good. So okay, so now I can let me kind of move on a little bit and as you can see, this is exciting right now. There are not many people here. If you look around, this is where we have our breakfast and then lunch. And there's no dinner, although tomorrow night is like the first day of regular conference. So there will be a lot of breakout sessions, presentations, and not the workshop. So I will be doing my talk tomorrow morning at 10:30. I'll be talking about Apache Pulsar, more of an introductory session. Then on Friday is actually I'll be doing also actually a regular session for 45 minutes or so, but I plan to also do a little bit of demo too, and that will be based on a workshop again. It's like by my team, so that should be good. So that's what it is. So and I can see myself right now in here. So as you can see, right, I just wanted to show around. That's the stage um, in here. And over there is the control center if you look on the far end of there. And then just over here. So it's not like anything too fancy. But again, just wanted to show you. Right now too, there are no vendor booths yet because the vendors are now only coming in now, and their booths will be set up tomorrow and Friday. So I'll be doing my talk Thursday, then Friday. So like I said, I was hoping to be able to do to show you the example, but I don't think I'll be able to just because right now I don't have another monitor that I can extend to show you stuff. I was actually trying to, and that's what I was trying to do, is to capture my window, but for some reason as such, right? I'm using pure OBS to do this, and somehow my OBS was not able to pick up the window, which is like inside my browser. I'm finally able to do that. So maybe let me do that, right? And say something to folks, if you want to say something, because right now it's just me talking. So, all right. So let me kind of go over there. All right. So as you can see, I kind of like shrink myself up now. So as you can see, this is I have to kind of go over to my window there, and just so I know I'm not like let me kind of like arrange my stuff, and I'm so sorry, it's a little bit kind of clumsy today. And all right, let me kind of make sure. Okay, so I am in my lab, right? So folks, if you want to try out this lab as such, right, as you know, some of you may be aware, I do mostly Java, but the thing is, with my team, we developed this as using Pulsar. Again, with what is Pulsar, right? So, and then there are folks also, if you are more into development, doing messaging, you may be familiar with Apache Kafka. So what Kafka can do, Pulsar can also do, right? All of these basic things for doing publish, subscribe type of messaging. Essentially, it is a pub-sub messaging kind of system platform. The nice thing about Pulsar, I'm trying to tell everybody, is that it's built, for the cloud. So if some of you are working already with the cloud, you'll find it to be more friendly to help you with all the cloud stuff. Is what it is. So what is this, right? You may be asking, right? Cloud native, all of these things. So essentially, too, if you operate things in a cloud, yes, maybe the outcome would be the same, but there are lots of different things because, so to speak, right, we're in a cloud, and you don't actually, if you're doing public cloud, especially, or hybrid cloud too, for that matter, you'll be basically having the control, essentially management of all of your cloud server, the cluster. All of these things are complicated, right? And there are replications involved. So essentially, it's a lot of the infrastructural, operational on the operation layer that's being managed by some service provider. So and as such too, when applications are running in this kind of environment, you have to take care of what to do if you add another node and another cluster, or node, even server to your cluster. Then you need to rebalance a lot of things, right? Because you say, let's say, messaging systems, you are doing um, having brokers, that kind of essentially receive messages from producers and then dispatch them to whoever subscribe to the messages, like in a pub sub type of model. Then the brokers too is play a very important role, and the way how these brokers are being managed because of how in a cloud environment especially, not just for cloud, but you can have servers that are being scattered across like a or I should say servers scattered in different cluster. So anytime if you are like adding more nodes or anything to your infrastructure, you need to rebalance your load. So here's the thing. Pulsar is built, with that kind of awareness. So that's what I'm trying to tell folks is that one of the things, right? The awareness of knowing that, okay, anytime, right? You are having your application server, supporting all of your applications, but they are being launched, onto these giant clusters. And then what if you expand your cluster, shrink them? Then you need to rebalance all of these message brokers that are running in different parts of your system, even though logically they may be together, but physically they are in actually separate physical servers or nodes, or some of the topics even get split across different nodes. All these things, they get very messy and complicated. And that's the thing where the beauty of Pulsar comes in, because it already has some built-in knowledge, and it knows how to manage all of these clusters. So if you add another server and another node to your infrastructure, it knows how to do all the rebalancing, so then you don't lose your stuff, right? Think of the fact that, if you don't have to do it, then you have to do a lot of manual stuff. Let's even like take for example like Kafka, right? And you're trying to do your topics, you want to partition your topics. Like partitioning topics is like have a topic, but the topic gets split across maybe different managed by or kind of being reside, right, in different nodes within your cluster. So if you need to add another cluster, another broker, then you have to rebalance everything. So all those things is basically Pulsar already knows how to do all the rebalancing. So that's one good thing about it. Another thing too is basically about like Pulsar having also like geo replication type of capability. So again, it deals with all of these infrastructural things. So it makes it actually very convenient, because if I'm the developer, sometimes too I don't want to be too bogged down, right, by infrastructure stuff, right? I mean, they are important. I like to kind of use this example of, let's say, right, we own a house, and I think maybe if some of you have been to my, you know, talk before or other sessions before, I like to say that it's like, us, having a house. You build your system. It's like building a house, and you have your house. The thing is, you want to enjoy the house, right? You want to go into your living room and watch a movie, a family room, watch a movie. You want to go to kitchen and cook and all of these things, but you also need to maintain, your kitchen, right? There are pipes, all these things, and you need to clean them. You need to do all of these things. You need to expand, maybe some, kind of occasionally. I mean, it happens too. We need to remodel our homes and all of these things. And so sometimes too, when it comes to that type of stuff that that are important, but it takes so much time, so you would rather have somebody else doing the work. It's like you hire people to come and do cleaning. Maybe sometimes, sometimes too, if most of us maybe in the US we don't do that, but I actually grew up in Asia, right, in Hong Kong. And in Asian countries it's not unusual. You hire helper to come, and you pay them, and then they do work for you. So in that case too, what the benefits you get is that you get to enjoy life more, rather than dealing with cleaning and all this stuff like that. So in some ways it's kind of like that. So that's what it is. Pulsar has that kind of capability. I talk about georeplication, talking about rebalancing all of your topics and brokers, when you expand and shrink your infrastructure. And another thing too is that it's got the concept of multi-tenancy. So essentially too, it allows, your application to basically store, the different data and categorize them according to the application's needs, right? So it's kind of multi-tenancy. So it's sort of like creating different segregation of data accordingly, because functionally you may have a company, you want to have like different departments, like engineering department, marketing department, sales department, they all have keep their different, kind of data, messages, email boxes, let's say, right? If you think of it like that, in their different, like tenants. That's what it is, right? It's sort of like different units of management, essentially. So all of these things too, I think it's just that Pulsar has got this kind of like built in. So that's why it is, it's good to kind of look into that, and especially if you're interested too. So all right, so let me kind of take a look, make sure I'm not off, off key or something. And I don't know if anybody is here because have started this so late, and sometimes I know I have friends that are based in Europe and that might be joining, but maybe not today. But let me kind of take a look too, because sometimes I can, maybe on Twitch. Let me see if anybody is here. Oh, looks like I see a couple people, right? So if you just join me, thank you so much, and ask me some questions, right? I don't know if you're here just happen to have dropped by, and I'm not actually even doing anything. So it is because I'm not able to run. I'm kind of only utilizing my MacBook to do this, so it's a bit kind of like fixated my screen. So okay, so the thing is, I wanted to show is this particular example is basically building real-time data pipeline. So think of the fact that you have. Let me kind of show you something. All right, so now I switch over to the side. So this is what I'm going to talk about: real-time data pipelines. And basically, if you think of data, right? Data essentially has three states, right? In some way, some sense, three fundamental states. One state is the data that's in storage, right? So data in storage is like data living inside a database, some sort of database. It can be a file system. It can be a database, or any form of other types of storage, right? On disk, physical disk, for example, things like that. So data in storage, and in this particular case, is that we're handling it using Apache Cassandra. And then the other thing is that we have data that's called in motion, right? So that's when you are sending messages. So the data is floating, kind of flowing around. They are not stabilized. In some ways, they are traveling through time. If you kind of think about it, data in motion. And then the other thing is data in use. So data in use is sort of, in some ways, it can happen. I mean, at least is my interpretation, is that data in use can happen in your data when it is like in motion too. It might be like being transported, but you can also transform it, for example. So there will be like data in use. But I think strictly speaking, they call it data in use is separate than data in motion. Basically, in motion, it's more like, well, I'm not transforming them. I'm just sending it from point A to point B type of thing, or travel through different segments, different pipelines. So, okay, so here it is. So basically, to this, it's trying to illustrate is data pipeline. So you might say, well, it's nothing too special. Yeah, in some ways it is, but on the other hand, the advantages it gives you is basically the real-time aspect, right? Real time is not exactly like real time instantly, but it's near real time, because in any kind of applications, there's always, even if it's just nanosecond difference, it's not considered real time. Real time is supposed to happen like instantly, strictly speaking. But in this particular case too, we can kind of claim that event streaming is kind of bringing you near real time kind of precision, essentially. So okay, so all these exciting things, and what is it for, right? So let's kind of take a look, right? Event streaming. Now we deal with event streaming, events traveling through time, and it's pretty exciting. You're tracking the minute changes of state, right, of these data, right? The carrying with the data, and the state of it keeps changing too. Anyway, here it is, right? So event streaming is like message streaming. They kind of equivalent, sort of like, if you kind of think of it's interchangeable. You can say, the events are kind of essentially messaging. Although I do have to say too, as a bit of a differences between strictly like event driven and message driven. Events is more like, according to Lightband, right, company that makes Aka, and Aka, which is the actor based reactive systems, and also Scala, right? Dr. Martin Odersky making Scala Maker, his company. So according to them, the reactive principle, event-driven, has to do with events data being sent to whoever is interested. So the sender don't have to worry about the address of the receiving side. Whereas like for messaging, message driven is about message sender and message receiver. You have to know the address. So that's kind of subtle differences. But the point I'm trying to make is that, as you can see in here, you doing this pops up this event streaming, basically messages get sent, and basically it immediately, kind of upon receiving, some actions has to be taken, right? You want to be able to allow decisions to be made in real time and all of these things, and you want to be able to, when we do some small experiments, we're dealing with high, maybe one or two messages flowing through, but that in reality we want to be able to have messages traveling in bulk, in volumes, high volume. We want it to have very low latency. We want all of the messages traveling through to be processed right away. You don't want any kind of slow down, and basically the consumption has to be, the rate has to be very high. So that's the kind of advantage of it. So all right. So this one, I won't go into all of the details, but I just wanted to say, why am I talking about this? Because okay, so I'll be, talking about this talk as basically a big, quick review, because this will be a talk, as you can see, will be, oh wait, I actually spelled something wrong. Okay, good. All right. So real-time data pipeline with Pulsar and Cassandra. So Cassandra is also the company, my company, DataStax is the flagship product, right? So that's what it handles, like data in storage. So here it is, right? So let's kind of take a look, right? A lab to kind of deal with working with producer and consumer. So essentially, too, if you kind of take a look at, right, more raw messages are produced and some are reviews, and of these, some are of, and we're building an example system of dealing with some restaurant data and all of these things. So essentially, too, schemaless Pulsar topic with mixed raw contents in here, too. That's from a business kind of point of view. But as you can see, too, like we want to, what we're doing, this example is we inject, right, uh, all of these hotel data through the publisher. So publisher will publish all of these data to a topic. Think of a topic as like telling it how to route, telling the broker how do I route the messages, right? Topics kind of identify the messages where it should go to, and then basically two topics then will get delivered. Or actually, I should say, messages are in the topics, and the broker is a serverless process that owns the topic, and then it will deliver the messages to those consumers who have subscribed to it. And basically, too, this is just logical. It's kind of the simplest state is you publish to a topic, and then basically from a topic, the broker will deliver the messages to the consumer, and then you output on a terminal. And that's kind of like a basic example of this. So, all right, so that was a very quick introduction to Apache Pulsar, and basically too, I want to get to is that okay, in real life too, we want to try to achieve, and actually there are already systems out there that are dealing with millions of data constantly coming through the pipeline, and those are the kind of systems we want to spend more time on helping out. Is fraud detection. That's ultimately most important thing, because it deals with data, right? That's in our bank, in our financial institution. We don't want anybody to tamper with all those data. So we need to have some sort of process monitoring constantly. And the data comes in huge amounts too. So fraud detection will be a good candidate to use event streaming platform. And another thing will be basically too, there are like, what are we talking about? Number two, secure social media and protect customer privacy. So, and of course too, social media, same thing, right? When we're doing Twitter, it keeps feeding into the, down the pipeline, everything. You want to protect the customer privacy too. And then the third thing is basically example of IoT, Internet of Things, data ingestion, classification, all of these things. Now the thing is, it didn't talk about here is that data science with events too. It's basically machine learning, ML ops, right? These are operational kind of processes that handles huge amounts of data for machine learning processing. As you know, right, machine learning is really about, you gather the data and then you make sense out of the data and constantly be, updating your model, your data model, based on the data that comes in. So it's got this constantly, constantly it has essentially data in motion, and you also have to update your data model and then deploy it right away. So it's even like a faster cycle with it too. So I would also add another kind of a point in there is, the machine learning stuff, the artificial intelligence stuff. So all right, so over here too, like real time data pipeline, as you can see, right? This we're giving an example of IoT process people generating a lot of data, little, demonstrable value from just the data raw as it is, right? You ingest all the data onto disk and everything, and then limited data sources, data is left unexamined in that case, in this case, right? And basically too, from the training, you train it and then it then generates model. You kind of extract, you train your model, you train it, basically maybe look at certain data patterns and everything, and then you generate some model that would make sense, and then you immediately then update it. Models outdated in production, you want to be able to immediately update your model that's launched in production. So this is a very fast cycle in there. Why am I kind of going through? I think that's what, because these are new slides for me. Okay, all right. So this is actually the purpose of the talk that I'll be doing is basically, a use case, right? We're using like NoSQL, like Cassandra and Pulsar, which is a event streaming platform to help you to move this whole process faster. So essentially, too, these are more like business outcomes. It's basically this, business outcomes is achieved, and what does it do? It remove all the complexity in the pipelines and the data lakes and everything. You ingest the data, you can use Pulsar to do it. Immediately you send it off to your machine learning training, doing deeper analysis of data sets and help to enrich the models faster and learning. That's what machine learning, generate the models, and you immediately publish time sensitive models much faster, and then you constantly like be, updating your data and deploying it. So that's the goal. All right, so these are just more about the data science, and we won't go into all the details. But now let's take a look at pulsar functions. And what are pulsar functions? Yes, so it is actually a feature in pulsar. So besides the publish, subscribe, right, we're gonna do some example exercise to see how do we set up a topic, how do we publish, how do we consume. But the thing is that consume messages is one thing, but what if you publish the messages, is flowing through the pipeline, you want to be able to transform some data, maybe do some filtering, do some modification on the data itself. So you can, theoretically, right, use any kind of well, wait a minute, it looks like my, okay, there we go, looks like my microphone didn't work for a second when I looked, but I think now it is. So basically too is you want to be able to use kind of like a serverless function kind of platform. So the serverless, and why is it serverless? So think of it like that. It's basically it's kind of one of the benefits of using kind of serverless function type of platform is the scaling, the auto scaling, right? So let's say you have tons of volumes of data coming in, you want to have additional processes to process it, things like that. And you want to scale up your system, you want to add another node dynamically as the data comes, increase, right? All of these things. So serverless function platform, as you can see, is purpose built for streaming data pipelines. Simple function. So the function itself is actually not very complicated, because from a developer point of view, you just follow the example is say for Java, you just extend, the pulsar function, an interface that you can extend, and you basically can then start to write your code to do the function stuff. So, and again, today it's just not very convenient for me if I want to share the my IDE to show it to you. But maybe I let well, actually let's not do that, because I'm going to have to exit the stream pretty soon because I have another meeting coming up too. But I just basically wanted to say, as you can see in here, right? Let me kind of make sure. Yep, you can see pulsar function is, you have your topics and everything. You're publishing all your messages, but in between, while it's flowing through the pipeline, you use a function. You don't need to install any other library or use any other library, it's very, because it's very lightweight, you can do filter, transform, enrich all of these things. It's much like if you're doing Java using functional style programming. You can do, like, the stream comes in and then you can do dot map, right? Dot map is sort of like a transform type of thing. And also dot filter, maybe, like, for example, data comes in, you want to filter out the ones that are, or filter in just maybe like age is, for senior citizen applications, you might say filter, if his age is greater than 60, something like that, right? So this kind of filter, transform, enrich. And there are also windows, and also the cleansing part too is basically maybe some data scrubbing. All of these things, you only want to gather data that matters, for example, like processing all of these things. So, and it's also like built for DevOps too, because standard Kubernetes based runtime, because the runtime is actually, it's standard based Kubernetes, and the deployment is automatic, right? And it's CI/CD friendly. So as you can see, then basically, from a developer point of view, you just need to configure your system. You basically go in every time, you just update your function. It should automatically scale, automatically build, and doing the continuous integration and continuous deployment thing. So as you can see, right over here, services, you can have, here is using Kafka. I'm not sure, RabbitMQ. These are pulsar functions. You can kind of use them too. And there are also different languages like Java, Node.js, Python, and Go. That's the languages supported at this point. But as you know too, if some of you are actually working with C Sharp .NET, if you want to do producer code or consumer code, you can do that using .NET C Sharp to talk with the broker too. So that's how you can do. And then on the storage side, as you can see, there's working with Cassandra, Hadoop, and Snowflake, and all of these other DSC, which is Data Stacks Enterprise, is the enterprise Cassandra that runs, kind of independently, not in the cloud. But of course, too, you can also use our Data Stacks cloud platform called Astra, right? So maybe I can kind of quickly show it to you again before we end today. And basically, I don't have as much time to kind of get into all the details. And but next week when I'm back home, I'll be able to do this demo and show it to you. In the meantime, if you want to take a look at it, I think I share with you the link, right? And if you want to take a look ahead of time, looking at this particular workshop, and you're welcome to. Um, so this is like FYI, the real-time data pipeline workshop, and this one is like with Pulsar, Apache Pulsar, and Apache Cassandra. Okay. Okay, so what I just shared with you over here, right? It's basically this link is where you can get to the example. So I'll be working on updating that too. So if you are kind of eager to start, you can do that, right? And so, all right. And wait, is it actually showing on Twitch too? And I don't see it on Twitch for some reason. Uh, Here we go. This one is the Twitch. Yeah, this one is the Twitch. So I just want to again just kind of make sure too. So, but this is now covering me, but which is okay too. All right. So again, I have about 5 minutes now, so let me be quick. And again, this is what I can show you. And let me kind of go back to here. Go back actually to the slides. Okay. All right. So essentially, too, the workshop is going to do is review. All these is taking an example of hotel data, some simple data structures that have three fields, right? The type, the rating of some restaurants, and some comments. And basically, this will be the message payload that the publisher will publish to a topic. And then from there, the consumer will then do some comparison, and basically using pulsar function to do some, excuse me, excuse me, doing some kind of filtering of these things. And then basically when it's done, it publish it to another topic. So as you can see, consumer can become publisher too, not directly, but maybe through some function it publishes data, basically send the data downstream to another topic. So that's the idea and how it is with the real-time streaming. Okay, so pulse-up function, and as we can see here, I won't get into all the details. I think this goes into talking about Cassandra too. So if you guys are interested too, I will share this next time, because right now this slide deck is a little bit not quite filter off, so it contains a lot of information. But I want to focus a bit more on doing extra streaming, on doing event streaming. So as you can see, right, let me kind of show you, because just so you know, to folks, it's not like I'm saying, okay, buy this, right? If you're interested in using this as a free tier service, it is there for you to use. So that's the beauty of it. So let's kind of get a little busy, get into our extra streaming, right? Okay, here we go. Let me kind of do this. Extra datastacks.com. It's actually, it then translates to that, but let me kind of shrink it a little. So over here, as I can see, if you haven't already done so, please sign up. Click on this sign up button, right? You can do sign up, and all you need to give is first name, last name, your email address, and just create yourself, give a password and create yourself an account. Then you can come in and use it $25 for you every month, right? And up to that amount, and it renews itself the next month. And guess what? It's actually not that expensive. So again, let me quickly share, right, with some of you too. Text. I just wanted to share the extra. I thought I have it. Here we go. Okay, so this is astra.datastacks.com, as you can see. So this is how you can do it. So let me then go quickly to log on. So in my case, I already have an account. I sign in, right? It's there. So this is, by the way, the new interface, which is kind of nice. So as you can see, right, the nice thing about developing this particular pipeline, you can just use this interface. And not only that, too, there's also command line, like we call Astra, CLI, too. I will get into that for you next week, but I'm going to demo this on Friday at the CodeMash too. But I will repeat it for just for you, for being like joining me at this stream. So follow me, right? Subscribe to my channel, and you can learn more. And also too, like I said, I'm doing this Twitch stream as much as I can. Sometimes it's just harder when I'm on the road, but otherwise too, as you can see, create a stream is as easy as going to here, clicking on that, doing a create stream. But as you can see, let's say, right, how much does it cost? Let's say tenant name, we'll just say Twitch 2023 or something, and we want it on Amazon. Let's say I'm US East. As you can see, right over here, pay as you go. The right bandwidth, read bandwidth, all of these is like, for a gigabyte is like 10 cents US, right? And like 4 cents, or even like 0.04 cents for 1 gigabyte for reading. So it's really absolutely very, very, reasonable that you can afford. And not that you need to afford it for the $25, meaning if you're just doing something on your personal project, it's very sufficient for you to do for like a month or so, and then it gets renewed again. So okay, so that's what I want to show it to you today. And right now, I do need to get ready for my next, meeting too. That's coming up in 10 minutes. So, but for that, I wanted to thank all of you for having been here. And again, let me kind of switch back to, and it's kind of, I'm a little bit kind of clumsy now, but okay. I'm back here. So thank you so much again. I hope you all enjoy, and also join me. Join my Discord channel. Let me kind of look for my Discord channel. Okay. So that's my Discord channel. If you'd like to join me, please, I invite you to continue the conversation. And because of these connection too, I'm actually making a lot of friends, and I go to different places. And for example, in Norway, I got to meet Fusnabo, who is also a fellow streamer too. He doesn't stream all the time, but he does, and is a very experienced person. So nice to meet people. I met App Boy in Indianapolis and met his daughter. Now I'm hoping to meet with Hedi too, who's from Tunisia. But he now lives in Europe, and so I'm hoping too, when I go to Europe later this month, early next month, I'll be able to meet him and some other folks too. So do consider joining my stream in here. So with that, I want to thank you so much for having joined me, and thank you to all who have been so patient with me, because I didn't stream the past 2 weeks. It's just, as you're getting more experience at a place that's just so much to do. But that's all a good thing. So I hope all of you have started this new year on a very good, kind of good note, and I hope all of you have a great year. So please stay in touch again. And again, this is my Discord server, and want to invite you to continue staying with me. With that, I want to thank you, and please take care. Okay, stay warm if you're in the northern hemisphere, and stay dry too if you're in California. Take care.